Tyron's Landing.
The first Puritans settled here in 1635. Prior to 1640, there was a fort here east of the state prison, which is now an apartment house site on North Main Street. It would be very possible to find rare space minerals here. There have been two documented meteor landings, one in 1971 and the other in 1982. There is a boulder that marks the site of a ferry site that crossed from Connecticut River from 1674 to 1762 at the junction of Marsh, Ferry, and Broad Streets. Rare artifacts from a long ago are also found here. Dinosaur prints also have been discovered in town. Wilton is another place worth considering for exploring because in April 1777, Wilton was invaded by the British, who were on their way to burn Danbury. The residents hid the silver and gold all around the area. Another town, very interesting, is called Windham. Here, residents had to bury their treasures before leaving to escape a raid by the French in 1758. The town was burned to the ground and many of the treasures are still buried. The Native American name for the area was homach, which is mcword meaning shaking or trembling mountain. There was also an ancient village on the Fenton River in this area called sethunk, which is a mohegan word meaning small fish stream. Windsor is another place worth considering. It was also known as tanak or Dorchester. It is thought that perhaps the Vikings sailed up the Connecticut River as far as Windsor in the year 1000, but no landing site was recorded. However, bronze Viking implements and utensils were found near the Enfield Rapids and in Plymouth Meadow on the Farmington River. Perhaps there was a battle between the Native Americans and the Vikings. When the settlers first arrived, these two places seemed taboo to the tribes. The Native American village here was called Paquonack, and the first sachem was known as Sehat or Sheet, Sheat. This was one of the sachems that asked the English for help in a war against the Pequots in 1631. This request and the constant attacks by the Pequot on settlers who were living in Connecticut were the main reasons that the Massachusetts settlers declared war against the Pequot and eventually settled in Connecticut. Forts were built here in 1637 along the present-day Palisado Avenue. In 1699, there was an old stone fort located about 1 mile north of Congressional Meeting House on the east side of the highway. There was a Native American trail between Plymouth Meadow in Windsor and Hartford. It was said to be the first public highway used by the settlers. There is a body of water called Devil's Pond. In the spring of 1758, it was reported by the inhabitants that the unseen demons began to growl and scream from the pond in the middle of the night, waking everyone. However, it was not demons that were making the sound, it was mating bullfrogs. However, the name of the pond stayed the same. The modern reader must remember that this was a strange, completely unknown region to the settlers. They were terrified and had no support from where they came from. Everything was scary and they had nowhere to turn to ask questions or find answers. They had to supply their own theories as to why events happened. This is the site of a battle in the Pequot War. It was also a trading post, but the settlers were driven out by Pequots. However, it might be that Native Americans were living in this area well before the Pequots came. In 1973, Native American artifacts were found from 1600 BC era. If you enjoy this program, please like it, subscribe it, and share it. Another Captain Kidd buried treasure might be found on an island called Clark's or Clarkey's Island. The story is that Kidd thought to have traveled the Connecticut River and left two chests on his last trip to Boston while visiting his friend Whiskey Clarkey or Whisking Clark. The chests were said to be left on Clark Island and have never been found. One of Kidd's ships, a sloop called San Antonio, came ashore with a huge chest bulging with gold. Witnesses say that it was dark, foggy night when the pirates buried the treasure here. The man who drew the short straw is said to have been killed to guard the site forever. A fenton pirate ship is said to roam the Connecticut River. Believers claim that it is the San Antonio. It is also thought that Kidd will finally rest in peace if his treasure is found. So there you go. There's additional motivation factor for you there. Castle Rock in Woodbury. Woodbury is another very interesting place because the Castle Rock in Woodbury was the fort of the Native American sachem Pomperag on the Pomperag River. Squaw Rock is named for a cliff where a Native American either fell or jumped off to her death. It must be a female if the name is Squaw. Various minerals have been found here. A yellow copper mine was discovered here in 1731. Minerals have been mined from the town are purple quartz, garnet, and opal. A mine was opened in 1750 looking for silver. Crystal Lake, 250-acre Woodstock Lake, is named because of its sparkling water. Many American relics have been found, and there is a burial site at the north part of the lake. Fort Hill, also known as Plain Hill, is located on Route 191 and built by settlers due to constant Native American attacks. There is another rock here called Elliot Rock, where John Elliot preached to the tribes in the area in 1674. There were several villages of the praying Indians in this area. One site might be near Hatchet Pond. Many Native Americans have been found here. It is also thought to be the site of a burial ground. Perhaps this was the site of the unknown Native American village Maya-Nexit, meaning where the road lies. If you enjoy this program, please like it, subscribe it, and share it. If you would like to view the videos before they are published on YouTube, sometimes even a week before, because for treasure hunter, the right information received ahead of time can mean a difference between success and failure, you can click on my Patreon account in the description below. In addition to some extras, you will also receive a full transcript of the videos, but most of all, your support will allow me to continue to do research and post more videos for you. And thank you for your support.